I must ask you this because we've been having a lot of conversations about it here at News 24, and that's South Africans' love of meat. We certainly can't have a dinner or a get-together without some type of meat being served. And is it true that eating too much meat is bad for our hearts, could contribute towards these lifestyle-related diseases?
You know, it isn't about meat, it's about too much of anything. Okay, so eating meat is fine as long as it's in moderation. So the key here is balance. Irrespective of what it is you're having, it has to be in moderation, and it has to be in smaller portions. We eat far too much. Whatever it is we eat far too much. And then it is about not having the balanced diet. And the balanced diet is a little bit of everything, but ensuring that you're getting the right nutrients as well. We also have far too much processed foods. You know, you see all of these fake foods and processed foods on our shelves, and we're not eating whole foods. And unfortunately, that's not affordable, which is why we need the private sector and food industry to help us along here as well, to ensure that we're eating the right things and balanced.
Now, at the very start of this interview, you described how your work with the World Health Organization will involve speaking to corporates, to companies. Now, that might seem a bit strange. What do companies have to do with our health?
A lot, in fact, because what they place on shelves is what we're buying. And pricing is also an important one that drives our purchasing behavior. So, you know, what is most affordable, that is what people are buying. But you find that the healthier options are less affordable. And so as a result, and the processed foods are cheaper, you know, for various reasons, formulation and technology and things like that. So, you know, we need to be sitting down at the same table with the food industry, and for the food industry to be providing the healthier options to us and to people in general, so that they can make the better choices.
Now, when we look at South Africans and we look at our sporting teams and just South African society, we know that we are very competitive, and we certainly don't want to be among the fattest in the world. This is just not acceptable, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, to a mother or a father and their families, where do they start? If they're sitting across the table from you and say, Vash, it's expensive, I've got kids, but I certainly don't want this almost legacy of obesity or you know, being overweight passed on to my children. Where do they begin?
Small steps, you know, it's very, very easy, in fact, if you think about it. It's about how you cook, and it's about what you're buying. So, for example, it is expensive to use a lot of sugar in your foods when you're baking, in your tea, in your coffees and things like that. Just reduce that. Salt is another one of those factors that components that raises high blood pressure, gives us hypertension. Also reduce that. It is about training the taste buds. So the starting point is to train the taste buds to like fresh foods, less salt, less sugar, and go for whole foods as well. What about growing your own foods? That's another cheap option. You don't need to spend too much of money on that. And the balanced way. We eat too much, it's expensive to eat too much. It's also expensive to eat out, which is what South Africans do. And we don't just eat out, we eat the bad things when we eat out. So there are many ways that we can do this without it affecting your pocket negatively.
In your personal capacity, as you now move into your role at the World Heart Federation, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And at the World Health Organization, what is your motivator? What will be your first port of call?
Well, I think for me, the target, the focus for me would be children, because that is where behaviors start and are built. And, you know, I always maintain that it is far easier to instill good behaviors in children than it is to break bad behaviors in adults. And so I think we need to focus more and more on children, because this is a lifelong disease. The risk factors develop from childhood. So we need to remember that, and that is something that I would like to be promoting. And the second is to look at how to collaborate with industry. You know, where previously industry was always seen, the corporate sector is seen as the enemy. But I think that we can, in fact, pool our resources and work together for the benefit of our nation's health.
I certainly hope that can be the case. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you for having me.